of the order of the universe, and then we're going to get an agreement from them. Okay? So if you can just make that screen bigger, if you guys can see. Can you see that? Okay, so practice. Can we make the brother, can you make the screen bigger? Yeah, so they can see these things. What are they practicing on? If you can make this one bigger, inshallah. More, a little bit more. Nobody wants to see me in my ugly face. It's okay. All right, there you go. Beautiful. Okay, mashallah. So here's what we're doing. Can everybody see that? So what are we practicing? We're going to practice the nature of God. So what is the nature of God? He's eternal. There's no beginning or he's not end. He's distinct and disjoint. He's not like his creation, right? If I make the table, I don't become the table, right? He's different. Yeah. And then the universe was created itself. Can the universe come from nothing, right? And then the order evidence, we talked about some of the order, how the universe has order that explains that there has to be someone who designed it. And then we get an agreement. Does that make sense? And that's it. That makes sense? Inshallah, if I can everybody get to stand up. Get everybody to stand up and pair up in twos. Again, brothers, is to give you confidence to speak. That's what this is about. This is not about you getting it right or wrong. It's not like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. If you don't know what you're doing, that's perfectly fine. As long as you are linking what you learned today into how to explain. Okay, so one person becomes a Muslim and the other one pretends to be a non-Muslim. And the discussion happens for some of the brothers that just showed up. And so if I see you sitting down, that means you already done the conversation, inshallah. Okay? I was thinking about attendance. Should we take it? Actually, in the morning, I was printing the sheet of attendance, but I forgot it maybe in the office. How many minutes? 26. We're discussing nature of God. Did the universe create itself? The order design, and getting an agreement. Yeah, I asked the brother, can you make this bigger, bro? You don't need to show who's out there. Don't worry about it. There's only just for this part. Can you make the screen bigger? The practice part. More. Inshallah. Don't worry about it. Once we're done, you can bring it back, inshallah. Don't worry about the people. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah. Just for this practice, and then you can bring it back, inshallah.
Continue the message. It's perfected.
Guys, don't talk about biryani. Talk about that. The biryani is spicy.
Even in your workplace, there's no true boss. Yeah, so I'm trying to say that I don't know there is Socrates. Images are two categories. One for democracy, one will tell the players to let the player a certain way. Yes, here because God has created us for the rules of charge. Because he sent it out, he sent Congress will be all the message. That way,
Okay, if you sit down, then I know you're done, inshallah.
He did corner.
Yeah, mashallah.
So yeah, going back to the point that, so we are agreeing that there is a creator,
Yeah.
just one God.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm a Muslim, so I say that God is Allah.
Yes.
And the Christian, he believes in God as well.
Yes.
But God is just a different thing.
Yes.
So there, like every culture or every religion says that there is a God.
Yes.
But it is different.
Yes.
So how do I know that your God is the true God?
No. That's why we're going to go into the next piece. That's why you need to be here for.
Because I need that.
Yeah, because you need revelation and prophethood. That's what you know.
Right?
Okay, because without wahi, you don't know. Yeah, this is what we're going to discuss now.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a good question, mashallah.
Thank you.
Yeah. When we establish the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever comes from the Quran, we accept it. Yes?
And yeah, one more thing, sorry.
Yeah.
So can I say for the oneness point?
Yeah.
That's it is one God, and this is the more common sense. And if you are claiming that there is another God, so can you prove that?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a point that I can make?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you could use that. Remember, were you here earlier? I said, try not to use too much aqli. It's fine, no problem. You can sometimes relate with people to use your aql, but you want to link back to why the Islam is the truth based on Quran and Sunnah. So we're some of the ulama have mufassirin have actually scholars had heavily replied on the life of the Prophet ﷺ, or why the Quran is from God. Those are more powerful than actually even the idea of God, because everybody believes in God. That's the difference between the message of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah. And I've been giving wahi. And this wahi is from your creator. So wahi and why the Prophet ﷺ, his life, between those two are different signs for us to lead back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just stay a little bit further if you don't mind. Yeah.
That's kind of like Christians like why God has form of the nature, like because it is the same issue like this is the issue with the creation and the creation and the creator.
We said okay, so everything in the beginning of the creation, you go back to the spirit of like plus creating one because God from the beginning.
Sure.
But then God different forms of things like other beliefs.
Right, because the thing is, if the creator is created, then it's not a creator, then it's a cause. right? If someone's made me, then I can't be the creator. Someone else has to be the creator. My mom might be the creator. What's created my mom? Another mom, another mom.
That makes sense.
So you have to go back to something that's uncaused.
Okay. Yeah. But I think our original question was like, because this is like we might come across a situation where someone can ask us our question, like we might say, why God doesn't take the form of the nature which is around us, like
Because then that's not by definition. Because our definition, remember, we have our own definition of God. We don't have a definition of what Hindus or Sikhs or Buddhists. No. Our definition of God is He's Al-Ghani, independent. Right? He's Al-Bar, the source of good. He's Al-Awwal, the first. He's Al-Akhir. We don't believe in the concept that the creator can become creation. And you can use some ugly things. If I make the table, I don't become the table. You know what I'm saying? If I make this thing, I don't become this thing at some point. Me and this table are distinct and disjoint. We're different in some way in our nature. You understand? So our nature of our creator is not like his creation. But how do we link from our akal to the nakal, which is our text, which is our Quranic discourse? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He's one. He's uniquely one. There's nothing like unto Him. Laysa kamithlihi shay'. Right? Inshallah. No problem. Jazakallah khair. Okay, Jazakallah khair, everyone. Okay, Bismillah. So, okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We'll begin again. So, brothers, here's what I'm going to leave tonight with. The biggest problem to the dawah, I'm going to reiterate this 3 or 4 times so you get it. It's not that you have to prove there's a creator or not, or you have to show them. The problem is there's some people that actually believe in God, yet they don't want to worship Him, or they don't want to know about Him. Why? Can anybody tell me why? Someone believes there's a God. He believes there's a creator, okay? He believes the universe didn't come from nothing. But this person says, I don't care, right? Or he says, hey, I am more intellect. Yes, brother. That could be one reason. They don't want accountability. Yes, what else? Yeah. Yeah, they're saying, hey, wait, I didn't come from nothing. I see everything around my nature comes from something. Why am I explaining this, brothers? Because this is the most important thing in the dawah. And not only the non-Muslims are challenged with this, even the Muslims are challenged with this. So we're going to touch upon all of these aspects right now. That's why we're stopping here. And we're saying, if you can show here, that we went to God, we won this, and then we're into stopping at the link. So there's a link here. Why are people rejecting God? Why? If they know there's a God and they say, I don't care. Yes, brother. God is there. So we have the nafs. Okay, that's a good answer. Yeah.
Because if you concede that there is a particular God with particular demands,
yeah,
you have to change yourself to fit it.
Yeah, agreed. So the thing, why we stopped at this part here, at the link, the thing is, in order for us to know what we're going to do in our life, who's going to tell us? Who decides what's right and wrong? It's God, right? So if God is going to tell us what's right or wrong, how is He going to tell us? Is He going to speak to us? Because some people will tell you, yeah, I speak to God. You know, someone can make that claim, right? Is that rational? I don't know. Allahu alam, I don't know. How do we test that? So the question here, brothers, is in order for us to move to the next part, which is revelation and prophethood, there is a link that we need to think about, right? And this is why we have so many challenges when it comes to in our life. So some people, in order to understand who God is, we need to know, what does God want from us? No? We need to know what He wants. So our physical needs, right? Our emotional needs. People are going through existential problems, okay? I lost my job, right? My mom died of cancer. We had a Muslim brother who mashallah, practicing, going to the masjid, everything else, and his brother died, and he stopped practicing, right? So what I'm saying is we have a big fitna, right? We have a fitna in the community and outside the community. Why? Because we haven't really understood our tradition. So what I'm saying is, the only way we'll know what really is our purpose of life is by who? By the Creator. So why are we stopping at the link here is to explain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He needs to tell us what He wants from us. Without the creator, we don't know what he wants from us. I don't know. What am I here for? Maybe I'm here to be a party animal. Maybe I'm here to have a lot of money. Maybe I'm here to procreate. Maybe I'm here to be a loner and go into the mountains and live there. What is a universal thing that God wants us to do? Right? Like, for example, if I tell you that this table, the purpose of this table is to place things on top of it. So it has a universal purpose. Can I sleep on the table? Yeah, I can. Can I to hold things on top? In the same way, what is my purpose? And who can tell me that? Who can tell me that purpose? Because it's not human beings. Human beings, all Bani Adam Khata, as the sister was saying, all Bani Adam Khata. We all make mistakes. Yeah. So who's going to decide what's right and wrong? So what we're saying is, one of the reasons Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, He needs to tell us what He wants from. What is our purpose of life? Right? To tell us about what happens to you when you die. Where do we go when we die? Like, remember earlier, guys, I explained one of the reasons I started practicing Islam, or I started looking into Islam, is because my mom passed away, right? And when she wasn't going in the grave, I asked the question, what happens to you when you die? Do you just become worm buffet? Right? Do you just rot in the ground? Or is there an afterlife? Right? So some of these questions are very existential questions that we need to ask. What is the purpose of our life as human being? Why is there suffering in the world? So let me ask you guys a question. How would you answer if I say to you, right? Let's say you're in a Dawah conversation and you're speaking, there's a God and He's one. So you got an agreement, there's God. Rationally, He deduces He's one. So He says, okay, if there's a God and He's one, agree. So how come there's so much killing and destruction? How come human beings are fighting one another? How come there's so much torture? How come there's suffering? How do we answer that question? Come on, guys, you're Muslim. Alhamdulillah. Why is there suffering in the world? Yes. Sorry? Test, yeah, okay. Yes. So I don't want to be tested. I'm just saying, I'm just being contentious. I don't want to be tested. It's not my fault. I didn't choose to be here. You understand? These are the questions that people have. And wallahi, these are not non-Muslims. They are Muslim people that are coming to me and asking me these questions. Sometimes some of my own close family members are asking me these questions because they have questions, right? So why is there suffering? Yes.
Life is not perfect.
Life is not perfect.
Living in a perfect world.
Yeah, this is not. This is not Jannah. This is not the end of the world. Yes, brother. We will test you. Yeah, with your health, your wealth, your children, your family. Yes, yes, brother. Human nature too. There's greed. Yeah. Okay, but why did God create that? Right? Why didn't He just make everything utopia, make life perfect?
Because you don't know what's good if you don't know what's bad.
MashaAllah, that's one reason. Right? We need to know these things. Yes, brother.
So one part of Iman, it's Iman bil-Qadar, sharrihi wa khairihi. And this is kind of good trust. Like, I trust you that I can give you 1,000.
Yeah.
I trust you more that I can come sit next to you while you're driving.
Right.
Even I can trust you more, I can sit next to you while you're driving and put something on your eyes.
MashaAllah, like glasses or something.
More level of trust. So we trust Allah and the trust of His plan. So He has a much bigger plan, more than our understanding.
Yeah.
Like if you wanna teach kid 2 years about multiple or jetta, he wanna understand physics or chemistry.
Yeah.
So it's similar. Allah have better and bigger plan.
Yeah.
We just accept and deal with it.
Yes. You guys understood that part? So basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the picture and we have the pixel. First of all, we don't understand in every situation. We don't understand every situation, right? Like one time I was speaking to atheists in Toronto and they said, well, if there is a God, how come people are fighting over land? And how come, people are fighting over different lands? And I said, well, there's a lot of land here nobody's really using. If you really wanted to, you can live in Canada's vacant and empty. But we choose to live in cities. That's up to you guys. I mean, it's not God's fault. So what I'm trying to say to you is the biggest problem to the dawah is not necessarily, some people, is not necessarily God. Sometimes it's problem of evil and suffering, which is a big fitna. Okay, so what do I mean by problem of evil and suffering? The problem of evil and suffering basically means is, my mom died. Let's just take my life, for example. My mom died. How could a loving God do this? Okay, now rationally I can deduce that we all have an expiry thing, right? Like we're all going to expire. But why? Why didn't he make us to just live forever? Why didn't my mom live forever? Why did he make it temporary? God make my mom live forever. This life is temporary. Why? Because the one who set it up, he set it up this way, right? It's like, for example, I would say, is this laptop a good laptop or a bad laptop? Someone can say, no, this is a great laptop. Someone can say it's a bad laptop. So it's all based on design, right? So for example, someone can say this laptop, it should last 10 years. And maybe it'll last 30 years. Well, who decided what's good and bad? Based on the manufacturer, right? So why am I explaining this? Did God give us some answers for these questions? Did he give us some answers? Yeah, what are the answers? So give me some examples of some answers that God gave us when a fitna happens to people. So for example, if I died from cancer, yeah, and it was not my fault of my own, what does that mean to me? Sure. If someone dies from stomach cancer in Islam, what happens to that person in the afterlife?
He's considered as a shaheed.
He's considered a shaheed. Yeah? Which way, what does that mean, shaheed? What does that mean, like in Islamic context?
His place in paradise will be very high.
In paradise will be very high.
His sins will be forgiven.
His sins will be forgiven. What else? He will bypass the grave, yeah, the punishments of the grave. He will go direct to Jannah. Yes? If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. Right? So what I'm saying is, did God give us some answers for these problems of evil and suffering? Yes, he did. How about someone who drowns in the sea or a river? Same thing, right? What if someone gets shot and get killed, but they didn't do anything for it? Like, for example, we have these Muslims. Right now, we talk about Iraq and Syria and Palestine and all of these places. There's people that are dying. They've done nothing wrong. They've been just sitting at home, and all of a sudden, a bomb dropped on their head. So did God not give us an answer for that? So yes, we feel bad. Yes, we feel this is not justice. This is wrong. But the reality of the matter in our lenses and how we see the world as Muslims, that they're going to Jannah. Yeah, they're going to heaven. You understand? We don't look at it from their lenses, that how this is negative. Now, I don't want anyone to die. We don't promote any hate or extremism. But the idea is we need to articulate this to the Muslims and the non-Muslims, that we have reasons for why there's evil and suffering. It's not that God didn't give us any reasons. You just don't know. So we are here to educate you that there's a reason, because you see in the dawah, I used to watch a lot of videos and stuff, and these Christian missionaries, when they would debate with these atheists would knock them right out. One of the things with Christians, you will see that when you go to the problem of evil and suffering, they have no answers. This is why Islam is so profound. Why? Because Islam actually gives you the answers for every purpose of your life. How to deal with yourself, how to deal with your family, how to deal with your body, how to deal with your neighbors, how to deal with your finances, how to educate yourself. Everything Islam gives you. And I'm not making that just a claim. We all Muslims say that. But I'm saying we do have solutions. Some of us have them more, and some of them have less. So what I'm saying is, why this is important, brothers. If someone is rejecting God because you've given him, there's a creator, he's one, and he's like, oh, okay, fine, but why did he do this? You need to delve into this. Okay, there are reasons why God has given us, why there's evil and suffering. You need to dive into it, because this will take away these misconceptions. Because that's what it is. They have misconception. They think, oh, God didn't give us a reason. He just wants us to suffer for no reason at all. You understand? So we need to really be equipped with this. And what else is the reason? Why did God give us revelation? What is the purpose of it? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Is to tell who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, Al-Ghaffar, and Al-Ghafur. The forgiving, the often forgiving. The merciful, the always merciful. What I'm saying is, He told us who he is without, and this is one of the sisters asked in the back, how do I speak to someone if you don't have wahi, you don't have revelation, you don't know who God is. God could be an evil monster. God could be destroyer. God could be punisher. God could be anything you want it to be. So we cannot know who God is unless God tells us who he is. So we know he needs to explain to us who he is. And when we say that he's one, he's uniquely one, his nature, we can't deduce what his nature is. His nature only can be explained by him explaining who he is. So when he says, Kullu wallahu ahad, yeah, what is ahad? One. Is it one? Yeah, so what is man? Only one. So for example, this is one box of whatever this is. So is there other ones like this? Yeah, there are. But Allah is kullu walau ahad. Allah, there's nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There may be other ones, but there's nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? And one thing is, if there is a creator, what does he want me to do? How do I connect with this being? How, and somebody here earlier said, one of the reasons we're going to get is to go to Jannah, which is, alhamdulillah, that's what we're all achieving for. But do you know what's the greatest thing you'll get if, inshallah, we go to Jannah? Yeah, we see the wajh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will say, so we're working towards what? I want to see my creator, my Rabb, my Lord. So this is the greatest thing we can get. Yes, Jannah is beautiful and all this other stuff. So I want to know, how do I have a relationship with my creator? What to do, what am I supposed to do, and how to worship him? I don't know how to worship him. Some people you see in different places, they're dancing and they're saying, we're worshiping God, right? To them, this is worship. So is that really how God wants to worship us? I don't know, maybe, right? So only he can tell us. So in Islam, our understanding of worship is not based on my intellect or your intellect or this person's intellect. It's not based on what my sheikh said or what this person said. It's based on wahi, which is one, our teachings of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, right? So this is how we know how to worship him. Very important. Okay, so this is something that I wanted to kind of discuss with you guys. So what does he want from us? What is the purpose of life? Life after death. We don't know what's going to happen after. When we die, where do we go? Announce his presence, explain his nature, right? How to have a relationship with him. And what is worship? What is ibadah? Yeah, we explained earlier, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I created the mankind and the spiritual world for no other reason except to worship him. But that worship is defined in the Sharia as the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, and everything can become worship as long as the intention is good and it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? So these are the prerequisites of worship. So what we're going to do is, let's say you've got someone and he believes there is a God, he believes he's one, and he's stuck. He's like, no, so what is it here? Provide for our needs. So you have to share with them, what is the need of revelation? Like, what is the need of this? What does God wants to do based on what we just talked about? Intuition, common sense, God is existent once, and the link. So what is the link? What is the link? Let's go back here. So link is here. What is it? What does he want from us? If you guys want to take a picture, or you want to write it down. Yes, this is the last practice, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we'll call it a day. And then maybe if you have a few questions, we can do that. But right now, so what does he want from us? What is our purpose of life? Who's going to explain what happens to after we die? Or life after death? What does it look like? Who's going to tell us all this? Announce his present. Who is the nature, which comes from, and prophethood, right? And the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran. Explain his nature, how to have a relationship with him, right? What is worship? Okay, so inshallah, we're going to stand up, we're going to pair up again, and we're not going to try to convince someone there's a God, he's one. We already done that. We're just moving on to the next stage. In this stage, we're just providing these. You're explaining to them why there's a need. And what if someone says to you, what about my mom died? If God is loving, why did my mom die? Or why did my daughter have cancer? or why there's people killing each other, right? Why there's so much destruction on the earth. Yeah? So you need to link all these things in your tradition, inshallah. Okay? Bismillah.
Last practice. Last practice. You can try to talk about this.
Yeah.
You have to talk about it. Allah
We just do a 5-minute Q&A.
5 minutes.
It is long.
The problem cannot do 2 days.
Naveed does this in like 16 weeks, 1 hour a day, 1 hour a week.
1 month.
1 month.
And whereas when you travel to different places, you cannot.
You can't 16 weeks at some mosque. Maybe a local mosque.
I don't think people can say this. Friday night. No. I mean, when I did the whole thing in 1 day.
And we did it in 2 days.
When I came.
And we did it in 2 days. You came the next day too.
Next day was Muslim. Like,
Yeah, but there's no
I'm just saying, one day, like the same thing with food.
Time is it?
خلاص. 6.
All right. Jazakallah khair, everyone. Allah bless you. Okay, we can have everyone sit down. Jazakallah khair, everyone. May Allah bless you all. Thank you for attending. Today's topics were basically to get you acquainted to what is dawah, the things that we talked about in the beginning. Can you go back to the beginning? What was the objectives? What we were supposed to do all the way to the beginning. So what did we cover tomorrow? So before we do that, at this time, if it's not related to prophethood and it's not related to revelation, which we're going to cover tomorrow, and if it's not related to new Muslims, these are 3 topics that we will cover tomorrow, inshallah. If you have any questions, anything you want to ask, anything you want to add, inshallah? Yes, brother.
I have a question about you said we were talking about stealing and being good and stuff, but if someone is atheist, they will just basically tell you that stealing is bad because society made it bad.
Yeah.
Because God made it bad.
Okay, but if society made it, for example, let's say if society made it bad, well, what if society doesn't find out? Like, for example, I used to live with one person who was a non-believer, atheist, and he used to teach his kids when he used to go to certain stores, and they used to pocket candies in their pocket, right? And he used to say, this is a good thing. Hey, you just robbed, he didn't use the word rob. He said, you actually got away with candy. You understand? So his kids benefited. So he's actually teaching his kids that stealing is okay, right? Because he won one over on the store. Yeah, the store wasn't smart enough. They didn't put enough cameras. They didn't put enough due diligence for him to not steal candy. Yeah, so he actually didn't condone it. He actually thought it was a good thing. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying is, so let's go back to who decides right and wrong. Because it's not our own aql, it's not our personal beliefs. Yeah, it's not our community. So for example, can we believe on our community to decide what's right and wrong? Ask him that question. Let's say if the atheist or whatever. One thing I want to do with you guys is please don't use the word atheist and stuff like that, because the Prophet ﷺ never otherized people, yeah? Because you will never engage with them. If you call someone a Hindu or atheist or Buddhist or whatever, you're not going to connect with them. So just use Bani Adam, yeah? We're brothers and sisters in humanity. But going back to the question, what you need to ask them is, okay, so you're saying stealing is wrong because society said so. Agree? Yes? Okay, now let's go with that. Has society done some things that were wrong?
Yes, of course.
Like what? Give me some examples, please.
Like waging wars and all these things.
Yeah, waging wars. What else? Marginalizing. What else has society done? Give me some real life examples. Yes, brother. Racism. Some other society is racist, right? What else? Yes, brother.
They used to bury females.
Females. How about just some recent examples of society? Look at what's happening in the US, right? Look what's happening in what happened in Germany, Nazi Germany. What did they do? They say anybody that's not blonde, blue hair, is not the Aryan race, should be annihilated. So when we're going to link our beliefs to society, then we have to debunk that society is wrong, can be wrong. Sometimes society can get it right? Yeah, sometimes. But sometimes you can get it wrong as well. So that can't be our anchor or morality. So what if it's a biological processes? You know what that means? We were procreated and we evolved and we were just at some point were monkeys or whatever, and now become advanced. This is even Muslims. I have family members that are Muslim that believe in the evolution. And I'm not here that evolution is false in a true as ultimate truth. I'm just saying is we have Muslims that, like I have a very close person in my life, he says, well, we've evolved. I'm not saying there isn't any evolution. Of course there is. We don't reject there is absolutely, but the evolution of what they understand is not what we understand, yeah? Anyway, back to what I'm saying. So what if they say that we decide what's right and wrong? It's a biological processes over time. We just evolve to become better. How do we answer that? So we were ape men, because that's what it is, right? We were apes. We lived in the jungle. We were hunter-gatherers, and that's what we did. And now that technology and evolution and our consciousness has become more advanced, we have science, we have all these things, now we become smarter. So how do we debunk that? Think about it. Yes?
What is the reference point to say?
They're saying that there was a single cell. You know about the evolution? Okay. There was a single cell. And then over time, that single cell had a web of life or hedge of life, depending on which part of evolution you want to take. And eventually we evolved from different creatures. And now we're here today, right? We've evolved to become better. So I'm just going to this morality argument because the morality argument isn't just society. We just debunked the society part. Now we're debunking the next part, which is saying that, okay, it's not the society, maybe it's evolution. So how we debunk that? So
which is like things.
Suffering is still not better than the before.
yes. Yes. Yeah, agree. But apes weren't maybe using bombs and nuclear atom bombs to kill people. We are. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah, but you said if we're becoming smart, but not everyone is smart in everything. So I rely on you, for example, in certain fields.
Yeah.
You rely on me on other fields.
Yeah.
I rely on Sheikh Muhammad.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, testimony of others is a valid source of knowledge in epistemology. So epistemology means it's what you know and how you know it. So knowing, I couldn't know the outcome of every situation. I have to rely on someone else. Sheikh has knowledge that I don't have. I may have something that he may not have, right? It's just we all have some different knowledge. But the question I'm linking to, just to kind of debunk that part, just so we nip this in the bud, we know that morality, what's right and wrong, cannot come from our own personal opinions and our personal belief, because that's subjective. It has to be objective, outside of me, without me. That's number one. Number two, it cannot come from our social pressures, our society. Why? Because we've seen society make errors before. So it can't be that. Number three, it cannot come from biological processes over time. Why? Because we see in the nature, animals do some weird things. If we were like animals, I don't know if many of you watch Nature Channel, like a snake, when it lays 100 eggs, it eats 99 of them. I don't know if you guys know that. You guys know that? So only that handful that actually go away and run away is the one that survive. So if we were like animals, we would have babies and we would eat them alive. So our idea of what is right and wrong cannot come from biological process. And there's a lot more. We can look in the nature what animals do. So we're not like animals. Yes, we have the innate disposition to know what's right and wrong. Does that make sense? Sorry, going into a little bit of a tangent there. Okay. Any more questions? Yes, buddy.
I just need more examples on the same point for evolution.
Okay, so for example, a shark. Shark, in order to find its mate, it grabs the opposite sex and grabs it and rapes it, basically. So if we're going to base our grounding on what's right and wrong, then we should be like sharks, right? We should rape females because that's what nature is telling us to do. So we can't, there's so many examples, right? We don't live in the wild, wild west, right? We don't live in the jungle, right? There's some order. We have to confine to some kind of what's right and wrong. Yes, brother?
I was just going to give an example. Pride of lions, when the male comes to take over, kills all the babies.
There you go. So the other babies, we see men doing this, but there's a prime example for you. Yes, brother.
I know certain spiders, the female spider, like maybe after mating, they eat their husband or like
the other mate. Yeah. So what are we saying, bro? What are we saying, brothers and sisters? That evolution process is we started from a single set of cell, and then from that cell we evolved. Yes. So if we evolved, and then over time we must have been either spiders or sharks or pigs. We must have been all of these things, right? Because at some point it was a singular cell and we've evolved along, right? So we went through this tradition, these biological processes. So if you think through them, just think through them that if we were one-time sharks, then our morality should be like sharks, right? Or we should be like snakes, or we should be like the lion in the jungle who should kill his opposing lion's babies so they don't become, the next lion. But we don't do that, right? So who decides what's right and wrong? Who decides what's right and wrong? Because it's not us. Yeah. So what's right or wrong is outside of me, outside of my mental understanding, my personal beliefs, my personal worldviews. It's not based on what I think. It's an objective truth, not subjective. So I want you to know these two words. It's very important. Subjective is something you believe personally. An objective is something that's outside of you. It's not dependent on you. Okay? Inshallah. Any more questions? Yes. Oh, one second. Yeah.
So agnosticism.
Yeah.
Why can't God also be the universe?
Agnosticism. Okay. So from the Islamic definition, right? What does that mean? There is no other deity that deserves to be praised and worshipped. So when we say we're giving the attributes of the creator to the creation, this is kufr, this is shirk, right? So and you're saying it's created itself. So what are you doing? You're taking this essence of God, this nature of God, and you're giving it to the creation. This is why Islamically it's wrong. Understand or no?
No, it's not. I'm saying a person who believes in agnosticism.
Yeah.
How would you convince him otherwise?
Remember what we say earlier, we don't what? We don't convince, right? What do? We convey, yeah? So when we convey, how do we convey? You through God, oneness, and then inshallah tomorrow we'll cover revelation and prophethood, inshallah. And then we don't convince because human beings will argue anything. Wallahi, they'll argue anything, and I've seen it in my life. Argue anything.
They argue that the concept of God, they can argue anything.
Yeah, anything. SubhanAllah. Yes, brother, you had a question.
I mentioned earlier that when it comes to giving down, we should try to stay away from the philosophical arguments.
Yes.
Obviously, if there's something philosophical that's grounded in the Quran, for example, the ayat surah.
Yeah, but that's not philosophy. It's pure wahi. It's pure revelation.
Okay, so I mean philosophical or rational questions.
Yeah.
Or for example, when the Quran challenges the disbelievers to come up with this surah.
Yeah.
So where do we find the balance? Like if we find some maybe rational argument, but it's not based on the Quran and Sunnah.
Yeah.
We just avoid it completely.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not giving you an answer on that. What I'm sharing with you Muslims and my brothers and sisters in Islam, we have a lot of Muslims, they study philosophy and they go in one door and they go out the other door. They become murtad. Okay? Why? Because first they weren't grounded on the deen. Yeah. Number two, the scholars of our pious predecessors never studied philosophy to philosophize things. They studied philosophy to deal with the batil. Yeah. Because the haqq is the Quran and the Sunnah. Yeah. So they didn't need to study philosophy. It's all rubbish. It's just your own intellect coming up with different ideas. Yeah. That's what philosophy is. Otherwise, I would believe in God Zeus. That's a philosophy, or become a Buddhist. So what I'm saying is for us, we have aqli, right, which we can deduce. Islam tells us why there's a creator, why he's one. You can deduce that rationally. And then he leads you through revelation, which is wahi, right? So the aql didn't come to make you smart. Aql came to give you wahi, to explain to you why you have aql. You understand what I'm saying? You understand? So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with philosophy per se. What I'm saying is I've seen a lot of Muslims, they're in philosophy, they haven't really understood Islam, they don't have a sheikh they're connected to, they don't study the tradition. Wallahi, all of us need to study our tradition. Because once you understand the tradition, you wouldn't need philosophy. That's one of the things I realized when I started studying. I'm like, wow, this is rubbish. This philosophy is rubbish. It means nothing. It's just human intellect, right? Like, for example, give me a philosophy answer on this one. Why do we pray 2 rakah farz in Fajr? Why? Give me your intellect on it. Yeah. What's philosophy there? There's no. It's not aqli, it's naqli, right? Naql means text, right? The Prophet in the Quran and the Sunnah came to, you pray 2 rakah Fajr and 2 rakah Sunnah in Fajr. That's it. End of story. You don't ask question why. That's one of the things of conditions of a believer who submits. You understand? So as Muslims, can we use rational ideas to get people to come closer to the tradition? Yeah, for sure. But there's a barrier where we don't want to go exceed. We don't want to philosophize Islam because Islam is not a philosophy. Islam is a way of life. Inshallah. So that's all. Any more questions? Because I think these are more beneficial than going through all this mumbo jumbo. You guys can ask your questions. Any more questions? Yes, please.
Like, I need to hear your
My view, I don't have a view. I believe in Quran and Sunnah. Whatever the Atiullah, Atiur Rasul.
maybe your experience with this country, maybe you can
Yeah.
in this situation so you deal with it.
Okay.
Like in your work, you find people they doesn't believe anything or
Mhm.
atheist or whatever,
Mhm.
and they really deal with your clients very well, nice, and they're hard worker, and maybe sometimes they extend their work more time just to finish all done perfection.
Okay.
And they deal with their parents very walidain. So, and when you see they are not believers.
Okay.
And you feel embarrassed, like other people, look, they are not believe anything, and
Okay.
they are good.
Saint Teresa, Mother Teresa.
Yeah. Okay. So why, okay, if someone is good, why are they going to go to hellfire is what you're basically saying, yeah? Like if someone is
Or wondering, like there is no need for religion to be good or to deal with this life.
okay, good. But debunk one thing at a time. Let's debunk Mother Teresa is a good person. Why would God send her to hell, right? Or someone who's a really good person, who's good to will about it, good to their parents. So now let me ask you a question. Let's go back to the question. Why did God create us? So what is worship? Sorry? Yeah. So now, if someone who's doing everything they want, but not doing what, okay, for example, if I tell you this laptop is created to use the internet, to do text, blah, blah, blah. What if I take this and I use it as a tray to serve food and put water on it and different things? Yeah, I take water and I put a water on it. What will happen? I'm going to destroy it, right? So my Apple says, oh, it can be used as a tray. I can use it as a water.